The Acolyte, Episode 1, Lost and Found. 100 years before the rise of the Galactic Empire, the Galactic Republic and Jedi Order preside during a time of centuries-long peace. And honestly, it's somewhat refreshing to go into something fully knowing that we won't be seeing any clone troopers or stormtroopers in it. Rather, everything around the law surrounding just and only the Jedi. Now, we start the first episode with a fight scene no less in a bar, where Jedi Master Indara is attacked and killed by a mysterious woman wielding daggers, of which we can only assume is the Acolyte that the series title is referring to. This encounter for the most part isn't bad and has some decent choreography, but I don't know, the whole attack me with all your strength as she just stands there in her pose is kind of awkward and doesn't really work in my opinion. But maybe this is intentional for all we know. Anyway, during the fight, she has the bartender get a good look of her face, which he later goes and reports to the authorities, aka the Jedi. And with their help, she is identified as Osha Anasia, a former Jedi Padawan learner, to be the bar killer. Now Osha, as we learn nowadays, works as a mechanic, doing dangerous repairs on the outside of starships. And when confronted about all of this, she ends up denying the claims that she committed a crime when arrested by Jedi Knight Yord Fandar and his Padawan Tassi Loa. And speaking of which, I should mention that Tassi is a Zagarian, the very first time we see this species in live action, so I gotta say, that was cool to see. But yeah, having the Acolyte apparently already getting found out and arrested in the very first episode seemed very strange. Like, no way is she captured and brought to justice already this early on, right? Otherwise, why make an entire TV series and not just some short 10-minute web episode? But okay, sure. And then while en route to Coruscant on a prisoner transport, Osha's fellow prisoners end up escaping after she turns their offer down to join them, which, hey, was also a strange move by this so-called Jedi assassin. Not only that, but she ends up risking her life to save another prisoner, only to be betrayed and left alone to crash land on the planet Karlak. But of course, she ends up surviving the crash, which I'm very surprised how that was possible, but okay, let's just roll with it. And then she sees a vision of some girl that looks exactly like her, who as it turns out to be her twin sister May, whom was presumed dead in a fire that killed their family when they were young. This vision then leads Osha to deduce that May is alive and the one who in fact killed Indara, which I have to say is a nice twist and makes a lot of her actions thus far make sense, which is good. That said, the show literally also spoiled its main mystery already in the first episode. Like, I don't know, maybe play around with it a bit more, keep us guessing, before shooting your shot not even 30 minutes into this brand new series. It feels like they kinda rushed it. Meanwhile, in Coruscant, Jedi Master Vernistra Ro, who, might I say, does not look good whatsoever, bald and just plain weird as the green skin definitely isn't helping, only makes me wonder why they decided to remove her hair from the High Republic comics, as I think if she had her purple hair here, she'd look somewhat decent. But yeah, back to the story. She sends Jedi Master Sol, who's Osha's former teacher, to Karlak with his current Padawan Jeki Lon, and Yord. And this is only really because Sol himself forces Vernestra to let him bring Osha back himself, which yeah, fair enough. Later, while in hyperspace, Sol tells the two about Osha's past and how she had a twin sister called May, that we already kinda know at this point. Then when asked if May could perhaps still be alive and the one who killed Indara, Sol shuts them down immediately, saying that's impossible. All because he saw May die with his own two eyes. Then once the Jedi do arrive on Karlak, they find and rescue Osha, to which Sol immediately again accepts her theory about May having survived after all of these years and is now running around as this assassin. Whoa, well, that was quick and convenient. 5 minutes ago in this episode, Sol says that it's impossible, not even wanting to entertain the idea, and now suddenly he's a believer? I mean, okay then, alright. Elsewhere, we see May meet with her mysterious master, which we can only assume is a Sith. Now, whether this guy is a Sith master or only an apprentice himself is another story. I suppose hence him having an acolyte under him and all, then he's maybe just an apprentice, but I can already say that learning about who this Sith is and their goal is a subplot that I'm most interested in this series. Not to mention that he's clearly inspired by Kylo Ren with how similar his voice synthesizer sounds as well the shape of his helmet. So as a Kylo fan myself, it's no surprise that I'm keen to learn and see more of the Sith. Now, what is interesting is that the Sith claims that acolytes don't kill with weapons. Yet we obviously saw May kill Indara with a weapon. So, unless, I don't know, those little assassin knife daggers apparently don't count as weapons for the Sith or something like that. Also, another thing that made me go, okay, is the ending to episode 1. And that is just how it ends kind of abruptly, almost rushed. Like, I mean, you'd normally be expecting one more line by the character or the camera panning out, like something, anything, but it just cuts straight to the credits right there and it feels unnatural. That's, sorry to say, plain bad editing in my opinion. How that got approved, I have no idea. Episode 2, Revenge and Justice. Unfortunately, this is a rather short episode, clocking in at just 31 minutes minus the credits. Which, well, I'm already seeing that as a red flag. We again start things off with May, who pays some local child to help her break into a Jedi temple on the planet Olega in order to attempt to kill Jedi Master Torben, of whom can I just say how painfully awful he looks with that fake beard and bad prosthetics on his balding head. Like, it's just downright embarrassing. I'd expect this level of quality in a fan film, sure, but not on a Disney Plus show, come on. But anyway, May's plan goes awry as she is completely prevented to do any damage due to Torben's Force meditation shield. Which, as we soon learn, that Torben has been floating around in silent meditation like this for over a decade. Okay, well, regardless, the local Jedi have somehow also learned that they've been infiltrated, and end up contacting Coruscant about it, giving Vernestra the details of which, of course, fits May's profile. In response, Vernestra decides to send Sol, Jeki, Yord, and Osha to Olega to investigate this attack. And on their ship, it feels like we're in Bizarro World almost now, as Sol is walking around telling Jeki and Yord that, hey, Osha is innocent and it's all her sister May's doing, and you're crazy if you think otherwise. Which is hilarious considering we just had the opposite conversation of this at the end of episode 1. Sol even goes as far as to tell Vernestra of how confident he is that Osha's sister is alive and, the culprit, saying that she was only presumed to be dead and that he didn't see her die. But he keeps changing his story back and forth. Which is it now already? Either Sol has selective memory and is bipolar, or the writers of this show forgot half of what they wrote in the episode 1 script already. Not a good sign whatsoever. Meanwhile, on Olega, May regroups with her supplier, Kimir, who is helping her hunt down the 4 Jedi that were stationed on her and Osha's home planet, Brandok, at the time of the fire, who were Indara, Torbin, Sol, and a Wookiee Jedi named Kelnaka. And it's here that May asks Kimir for a weapon in order to kill Torbin, which she gets in the form of a poison. But wait a minute, I thought Acolytes aren't supposed to use weapons to kill. Isn't that literally what we learned in episode 1? Yet here she openly acknowledges that yes, she does in fact use weapons. How very un-Acolyte of her. Which, to be fair, we later learn that she's only doing this behind the Sith's back and lying to him that she's killing Jedi without weapons. And, all I have to say to this is good, because the whole killing Jedi Masters without weapons is pretty dumb and suicidal if you ask me. Like, after all, the Sith do like to play dirty. Besides, this sounds like he's just having May run some daily challenges for a season pass in a game or something. It's dumb. Regardless, May takes the poison and breaks into the Jedi Temple again, but this time without going through the front door and raising any attention. Okay, but wait a second. May first needed to pay some street urchin to help break her into a Jedi temple, yet now we see her break into the same temple again, but not from the front entrance, which begs the question, why couldn't she have just used whatever way she entered the temple now for her first break-in? Clearly it's easier and doesn't give yourself away like her first attempt did, which got the Jedi sniffing on her trail. It's, okay, but once inside, May offers the poison to Torbin as absolution for his past. He then stops meditating and willingly takes it, dying and admitting that the Jedi made a mistake. Which, okay, got a lot of questions here, but this is already teasing us about some other plot point where the Jedi must have done something really heinous on May's home planet. For, Torbin to be so ashamed of himself that he was willing to die like that. I mean, he committed suicide, basically. So, alright, I'm interested. At the same time, Sol and the Jedi arrive on Olega and enter the temple to investigate, where one local Jedi agrees to take them to Torbin. May, of course, quickly escapes before they get there, but here's something I just found so incredibly dumb, and that is, why does Osha get to Torbin before everyone else does in this scene? Like, why do they all take the long way to Torbin while Osha goes for the shortcut? All just to create some needless drama that doesn't even last for a minute, as Yord also ended up following her and assures everyone that no, Osha did not kill Torbin, he was already dead when they got there, but still. Like, come on, the writing on this show can be so bizarre and bad at times. It's like they didn't proofread their script or anything like that. I have no idea how this got through. The Jedi afterwards devise a plan to have Osha pose as May in order to get information from Kimir, which, well, you'd think it wouldn't work as he notices Osha acting all weird and everything, not her usual self, not at all like May would act, yet he confesses to her in crafting the poison and then even admits to Osha that he knows she's not May. Yet, then afterwards, he's surprised the whole thing was just a sting? Like, is this guy seriously a moron? Not to mention, why doesn't Sol read his mind anyway, just to be sure? Like, okay, fine, Kimir reveals to them about May's overall plan to kill 4 Jedi, but still, clearly he knows more than he's letting on after referring to May's Sith Master. So, yeah, that was weird, or just, well, another case of bad writing. Then that same night, Sol confronts May and reveals to her that Osha is alive. The two then commence a fight without weapons, and I have to say, this is hands down the best part of this entire episode. It's well done and fun to watch, especially with how May is completely outmatched by Sol, which is how it should be, seeing as he's a Jedi Master and all. Then once Yord and Jeki show up, May realizes that she's outstayed her welcome and uses the sand around her to hide her escape. Which, okay, but tell me how the sand negate a futuristic ship's trackers and radar. Oh right, bad writing does. Jeki has no excuse to lose May here. Not to mention, couldn't Jeki just continue using her ship to follow May on the speeder? Like, why do the Jedi give up so easily here? Then when Osha does come face to face with May, she attempts to stun her and misses badly, like real bad, whoa. And of course, May gets away yet again. She later comes back to Kimir and threatens him over talking to the Jedi, but he convinces her to leave him alive because he has learned that Kelnaka is living on the planet Kofar. Not exactly sure how he learned that information while being basically under house arrest by the Jedi, but okay. It goes without saying that we're headed there next, as Kelnaka looks to be May's next victim. The episode then ends off on Kofar with, well, yet another awkward and abrupt ending. This time, the Wookiee Jedi scaring off some scavengers, just because. Plus, why does this so-called Wookiee Jedi walk around naked without his robes, wearing only a bandolier as if he were cosplaying as Chewbacca? What can I say? It's just another unsatisfactory ending that does the opposite of making me excited for the next episode. Overall, I'm incredibly mixed on the first 2 episodes of The Acolyte. I already went into this series with an open mind, having tried to ignore all of the teasers and everything else that people were talking about it, whether it were positive or negative. Of course, aesthetically the show does look good for the most part, and there's a lot of aliens here too, which I definitely like. But there are also some parts here and there where they absolutely blow it and you think to yourself, whoa, how does this series cost, what, 170 million, and they do something that you'd expect to only see in a fan film? And as for the acting, it's just so-so. There are some standouts though, like Master Sol, which is good. Meanwhile, the writing seems to be a hit or miss. Well, mostly a miss right now. And it's kind of lacking that magic that Star Wars is known for, especially with this series being so Jedi and Force-centric. The Acolyte is somewhat ho-hum at parts, and the characters, for the most part, don't really interest me too much. As right now, I'm mainly staying along to see the plot develop, which I do think has potential if done right. Still, we're only 2 episodes in, and I don't want to judge it too harshly. Heck, after all, I thought the first 2 episodes of Andor were a bore fest, and then the 3rd one completely turned it around for me. So I'm without a doubt hoping and expecting the same to happen here for The Acolyte. And that was my take on The Acolyte series premiere. Let me know what you all thought about the episodes in the comments below, and if you haven't already, remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one.